We're going to do this in a panel style format. So we have two presenters who were not involved with the Bringing Wetlands to Market project, but who are doing work that's kind of connected with the kind of issues we're looking at. And they will be doing their presentations as part of this panel. And then we'll have a combined kind of presentation from our team members under the Bringing Wetlands Market project who worked on aspects of the nitrogen question. And then we won't take questions after each presenter. We'll have them all in succession, and then we'll have kind of a closing question and discussion time after all three presentations have occurred. Now, to set up the panel, I did want to point out that yesterday we spent some time talking about both what we did on the project, what the motivations were for the research, and how we made connections with potential end users of the science, as well as thinking about the applications of the work. And one of the areas, in case you missed it yesterday, that we talked about was that for our local communities on Cape Cod, and we had to tie this into proposal that we submitted when we got this project funded, nitrogen loading and its impacts on water quality and on coastal ecosystems is a huge topic. It's definitely one of the biggest environmental issues that these communities are looking at. Many communities are involved in just figuring out solutions, and particularly how to pay for those, and the range of solutions that are on the table for considerations. And one of those options that are being looked at, you're looking at many different things outside of soaring, is really looking at whether wetlands are a place that can deal with any of these nitrogen loading issues that communities are facing. Not that people would necessarily use healthy wetlands for that, but really looking at whether or not that ecosystem could provide some relief from that. And they're also looking at options like constructing wetlands, looking at the place that option might play. So there are a range of things communities are considering. And when we started out this project, we had conversations with those stakeholders about just explaining our intentions for this project and getting their feedback and getting the kinds of questions that they would want us to consider. And the nitrogen piece, as we expected going in, was of really, really high interest to our local stakeholders. They wanted to know what we were learning, because as I explained yesterday, we were seeing this as potentially, from the early kind of evidence that was there, that under high nitrogen loading scenarios, this could actually impact a marsh where their sequestration actually goes down and they're becoming more of a source for nitrous oxide rather than a sink for that gas. And so that would have major implications. It could, if that was actually borne out in the research or whatever we learned about it, would that be something that communities can then actually factor into this whole question of how they deal with nitrogen loading, and could it be actual further evidence or further impetus to really move on solving this problem? Not that communities aren't trying to solve that issue right now. But it was definitely a topic that was of very high interest, and so our team has had that question: what is the impact of nitrogen loading on the greenhouse flux dynamics that they've been considering in carbon storage, and also just what have we learned, and whether or not we can feed this information back, whatever the answer is, to communities who are interested in learning that. And we also asked Kathy Weigand from EPA, as well as Tom Moser from Bryn Mawr College, to actually join the panel this morning. They are doing research that's related to this topic of nitrogen impacts on marshes. And so I think the three presentations that will occur this morning will be actually give you a rounded out kind of understanding of some of the things that these scientists have been learning from looking at this topic. And so to kick us off, I'm not going to have the panelists sit up here because they'll have to sit here for quite a while, but we will bring them all up for when we go into the Q&A session at the end.